his time as a CEO in government across probably nearly 15 years. I suppose, Ken, that Ken was also a key board member of Roads Australia, and it was great to have Ken's involvement in developing strategy for Roads Australia and helping to run our programs. As I said, these days, Ken's an independent advisor to a range of corporate and government clients in areas of transport policy and regulation, infrastructure development and delivery, financial and organisational reform, business development, asset management. There's the BD for you, Ken, so hopefully you'll get some work after that. He also led in New South Wales under RMS when he was CEO, probably the record program that kicked off this big infrastructure boom that we've got. I think it was about 8 million per annum. Ken got it up to, and I think the legacy of road projects and also road infrastructure in New South Wales is a testament to the work Ken did as Chief Operating Officer and CEO there as well, which I think is a great legacy. He served as a board member and chair on a number of national bodies apart from Roads Australia, a lot of the statutory authorities and community organisations. And he's currently chair of the Infrastructure Partnerships Australia Transport Task Force, which a lot of Roads Australia members are also members of, and that's a great forum as well. And it's great to have Ken still involved as chair of that group. So Ken, I might hand it over to you to kick off. And as I said, if you want to trigger a question as you go through, don't forget to just put it in the chat box and we can pick it up. Welcome, Ken. Great to have you on board.
Thanks, David. Thanks. It's a great pleasure to be back at a Roads Australia event. I always enjoyed talking to industry, particularly through the Roads Australia event. Of course, people used to flock to show up and see me when I had $10 billion a year to spend. So it's good to see that I still get invited back when I've got nothing to spend. So I'm pretty happy. And as David said, a pretty interesting time really as CEO. And I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I might give a few reflections on leadership, but yeah, very interesting time at RMS. You know, as David said, growing. You know, the capital program over the 6 years I was at RMS actually tripled. We put on something like 1,500 additional people, as well as dealing with many private sector partners. So it was a very exciting time. And I guess today I want to talk a little bit about leadership. I want to talk a little bit about government and the private sector, and some reflections on that. But then mostly I'd like to engage in a bit of a dialogue in terms of a question and answer session. As David said, these days I'm doing independent advisory work, and I won't bore you with that. Although I think it's interesting, and I guess this is for young people, which the fellows are, is that I think the breadth of the things that I'm getting involved with now is a little bit of a testament to the way I ran my career, which was that I didn't get fixated in any particular zone. So I'm not spending all of my time doing infrastructure projects. I'm spending some of my time doing infrastructure projects. I'm spending some of my time doing business development style work for the private sector. I'm spending some of my time doing organisational reform, some of my time doing transport policy. And I think that probably reflects a little bit the context of my career and the breadth of things. And I think that's maybe an important lesson for people as they go through their career, not to get too pigeonholed with particular things. A couple of other personal reflections. People ask me, you know, do I enjoy what I'm doing now, and what do I miss about being a CEO? And I think I absolutely miss the leadership piece of being a CEO. I miss being having a leadership team, having an organisation that you need to lead, and watching that organisation develop, and being the decision maker, and being accountable, and being part of the big decisions, particularly in government, when the real big decisions are made and you're in the room. It's a pretty exciting place to be. On the other side of the coin, there's some things that I very much don't miss about government, and that's the other side of the political process, one side is that you're there when the really big decisions are made, and the other side of it is you deal with the day-to-day minutiae, what I call the minutiae of government, which is just the constant noise of, you know, what's in the media today, what's on the minister's mind today, you know, rumour and innuendo and all of that sort of stuff that you deal with. I don't miss that at all. I don't miss the internal politics of the public service and the way the government goes about its work. I guess the other thing I definitely don't miss is, you know, 12-hour full diaries booked up 4 weeks in advance. I am still very busy, but I don't have a 4-week booked in advance diary, 12 hours a day, every day, scheduled to the last minute. So that's a pretty good thing. I do want to sort of reflect a little bit on the government-private sector relationship, and I guess I had some background in the private sector as well as government prior to now, and now I'm very much about my business. My current business is about 50-50, to be frank, government and private sector. So it's given me quite a lot of insight, I think, into that, and I'm happy to kind of take questions later. But a couple of observations I'd make is that, and most of the people on the call are from the private sector side, so I'm probably going to bias this towards how the private sector deals with government. But I think it's clear that there's still not a very strong understanding in government of how markets work and how industry works. You know, there's a very much a view that there's limitless capacity, and that, you know, there's limitless competition and people should be just queuing up to do stuff, and which is obviously not true in the infrastructure environment that we find ourselves in, and probably is never true in terms of the infrastructure industry. And but similarly, there's not a very strong understanding in the private sector of what are the things that drive the government, what are the things that are important to the government, and why does the government act the way that it does. And I think one of my observations is that that there's one of the key differences, I think, is that in government, there's, as well as being a contest for strategy, which does exist within the private sector a lot as well, there's a fundamental contest for objectives and what are we really here to achieve that permeates the government sector at all times. So it's never quite clear that you know, you've got a mandate to do something, or that that we all agree that we're all on the same page and heading in the same direction. It's actually never that way in the government sector, and so I think that's one of the fundamental differences people kind of need to understand, that in terms of understanding how that relationship can work and how you can work better together. The other observation I make is that the stakeholder environment in government is far more complex than it is in the corporate sector. The scrutiny is higher. The fact that you've got to deal with you know, quite minority but noisy views in stakeholders, and kind of deal with that that complexity at all times. That and every decision has to be kind of worked through with all those people. And that, although the interesting thing, and I think the COVID-19 crisis has underlined something that was always a myth. People say to me, "Oh, the government takes forever to make a decision," and that's actually not my observation. My observation is that the government takes forever to be convinced that it needs to make a decision. Once it makes up its mind, the government can actually does and can act very, very quickly. And I think the COVID-19 is a great example of what happens when the government actually perceives that it does need to make some decisions and do some things really quickly, then you can see the absolute speed and power with which government can act in that process. I guess the other thing, and this relates to the stakeholder issue, I think, is that the public value, which is a concept that actually should drive the government, and public servants' view of the world, the generation of public value, is a far more complex beast than shareholder value or even customer value, and so they're things that that needs to be recognised. And the other thing is, so I get a lot of people in the corporate sector go, well, that's just, the government's just being stupid. They're making stupid decisions. And I don't think that's true. What is true is that it's not always transparent what the drivers for the decision are. So quite often there'll be publicly stated drivers for the decision, and then there'll be a whole range of other drivers, be they party political, be they just individual wants of people, of key stakeholders that are in the decision framework. And so what you have is this thing: you have a decision which, for all the world, looks like it's irrational, but if you actually understood the drivers for it, then it's entirely rational. It might not be financially rational, it might not be economically rational, but that doesn't make it rational. It's rational. That doesn't make it irrational. It's rational based on the drivers that the government sees. And I think that kind of probably takes me to my next kind of area to chat about, which is, so what does all that mean if you're, and I'll put this in the context of a corporate sector trying to create a better relationship with government. Well, what does all that mean? And I think the first thing is that you need to think about what they need rather than what you need. Now, that's kind of like marketing 101, right? So we kind of think about that when we think about customers, but we don't necessarily think about it when we think about government. But it is just the same, and that helps deal with the irrationality, if you like, that you perceive in the decision making. Is if you actually genuinely understand their environment as much as you can, because it's not always very transparent, then that will go a long way. The other thing I say to people, and I guess this is born a bit of my experience as a CEO in the government, and I don't mean to be rude, but have something interesting to say if you're seeking to engage with the government and the CV of your company. Although I'm very grateful to David for reading mine out at the start, and that's very helpful. The CV of your company is probably not that interesting. If you're talking to a key government decision maker, they've been briefed. They've got the CV of your company. They actually understand some things about you, or they've at least been told some things about you. So I'd say if you do want to engage at a senior level in government, then it's kind of spending 20 minutes running through, here's my standard slide pack of this is what my company does, is probably not is probably not going to get you invited back very quickly. The other thing to understand is that the government ministers, senior public officials get pulled in a lot of different directions. So we get a lot of free advice from a whole range of people, and so that your view will be one that's coming. It's in a melting pot of other views, and I think it's always important in that sense is to be a bit cautious about trying to out-politic the politicians, because they're generally pretty good at it. And the other thing I really wanted to comment on, and as I said, I'd like people to get ready to kind of ask questions, because I think that's a much more informative format here. That way I can talk about things that are of interest to you rather than rabbit on about things that may or may not be. Is just, I guess, a few leadership lessons generally, and a little bit about government leadership in particular. And none of this is rocket science. My experience is that leadership's actually pretty easy to talk about, but it's much more difficult to do. So there is no rocket science in my view around leadership, but some really fundamental things that I think, you know, if you aspire to leadership positions, and everybody who's on this program, which is a great program, should aspire to leadership positions, is the first and foremost is about authenticity and being yourself. And no matter what that is, people will generally cut you a fair bit of slack if you are authentic, if you actually genuinely care about the people that you're seeking to lead or the organisation that you're seeking to lead. And frankly, if you don't genuinely care about the people you're seeking to lead or the organisation, then you just shouldn't do it, because people will see through that in 5 minutes. If you're, you know, we've all worked in organisations that have leaders who are very clearly there for their own benefit or for their own ends. It's very clear to everyone, doesn't fool anyone at all, so I guess the point there is examine your motives for wanting a leadership position, and make sure that you genuinely want it, and you genuinely want it for the right reasons, because that will allow you to be authentic. The other piece of advice I would give to people in the leadership sense is be bold. Be bold, seek accountability, don't seek to divert accountability, and to be decisive and be bold. And when I say that, I don't mean be stupid, but I mean be bold. When if you're in leadership positions at whatever level, you're there to make a difference. You're not there just to mind the shop, and that you should use that opportunity to try and leave a legacy, if you like, for the organisation or the branch or the team or the whatever it is that you're leading is in a better place when you, or at least you try to put it in a better place. One of the other bits of advice I always give to people is don't work for idiots. It's really about saying, if you don't respect and can't learn from the people that you're working for, then my advice for you is get out of there pretty quickly. Life is too short and your career is too short to labour away under a difficult circumstance where you don't respect the leadership and you're not learning anything from them, or perhaps you're learning what not to do. And I guess the last point, which I'm going to put into action in a minute when I seek to try and get some questions from you, is talk less and listen more. Is I think just a fundamental issue. I think leaders spend too much time, and I'm guilty of this, just as guilty of this as anyone. I think leaders spend too much time trying to explain themselves and their strategy and their things, as opposed to listening to what other people's needs are and what other people's feedback is on that. The last observation I make is really for probably the folk in government and seeking leadership positions in government. You'll read a lot of textbooks that say senior leadership is about, getting the right strategy right and getting the culture right and getting the people right, and that, you should stay out of the detail, and you should, and that's how you should conduct yourself. And that's kind of right up to a point. The thing I'd say that's different about government is that I've seen a lot of government CEOs. I don't know that I've ever seen a government CEO sacked because they didn't have a very good strategy or they didn't have a good high-level view of the world. I've seen lots of them sacked because they weren't across the detail. And one of the conundrums of government is you need to be both across the detail and trying to see the light on the hill and drive the strategy as well. Now, it's very difficult to do, and you've got to organise yourself, and you've got to organise your time and have good systems around you that enable you to do those dual things. Because you know, when the minister rings you and says, "What about blah blah blah," and you go, "I've got no idea," then that's not a great position to be in. And if you're in that position, you know, often, then the result generally ends one way. But look, there are a few general observations from me, but I'm very keen to answer questions that people might have.
Yeah, that's well done, Ken. Very insightful and some really good lessons there, I think, for everybody. You generated questions already. I guess the obvious thing is we're always asking senior leaders what their advice is for our young fellows, and it's a bit of a general thing. But perhaps, Ken, to kick off, if the young Ken Kanofski was on the call as part of the fellows group, what advice would you give yourself in terms of what you did well and maybe what you needed to improve on to get up to that sort of CEO level?
Yeah, look, I think for people who are driven and ambitious and very kind of and have a pretty strong strategic framework, which I think I was kind of one of those. Most people who are like that need to work really hard to make sure that they bring people along with them, and that was, you know, one of the things that I had to learn, probably the hard way. In the sense that I was in sort of, you know, modest leadership positions at a very young age and probably didn't understand that well enough. And while I think I did an adequate job in those, in some of those leadership positions, I sometimes probably, you know, didn't deal with people issues and didn't bring those teams along to the extent that that I would have liked. And certainly, you know, with maturity and experience and a few people kind of beating you around the head and telling you to do stuff in a different way, I think, you know, that was probably the biggest thing for me. So was really investing time, effort, and energy into people, not just saying, well, here's what it is, and you know, you're smart and competent, and you should just get on and do it. Is you really, particularly around building your leadership team at any level, it's about really trying to engage with those individuals and understand what drives them. Now, people, you know, there will be people in the audience to whom that comes really naturally, and I go, well, yeah, well, of course. And then, there'll be others who probably need to think about that, because it's being the smartest person in the room doesn't necessarily get you the result that you need.
Very good, thank you, Ken. And Marley, I see there's quite a few questions. Did I see Brendan first off the cab?
Yeah, if you can hear me here. Sorry, my internet's just playing up a little bit. Typical.
Yeah, we can hear you, Miles.
Okay, great. I'm just closing this so I can get to the question. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, we've got quite a few questions here. First one, yes, from Brendan. Thanks, Brendan. Hi, Ken. You talked about not politicising the politicians. Leaders in government are often called politicians in different clothes. How did you create the right balance leading but not trying to out-politician someone? Does it come back to being authentic, and how do you take your team on that journey?
Yeah, look, I think so. The how I would describe it, and it's a very good question, so thank you, Brendan. I've observed many people who politicise their senior public service position, and I don't necessarily mean in a party political way, although some do, but in a way where they become a player in the political process. And so how I would differentiate it is it's a bit like going back to, and I hate to kind of, you know, talk about, you know, old boring principles that you know, people probably think are out of date, but you know, the real principle of the Westminster system, I believe you have to believe in if you're going to be a good leader in government, which is that it really is the government's right and the minister's right to make the decision, no matter how stupid you think that decision is. And it's your job to provide advice, and it's your job to be an astute student of the politics. So what I'm not saying is, oh, well, you just ignore the politics and you kind of barge ahead. I've seen that as well, and that doesn't work. That ends in tears, inevitably. So you need to be a keen observer of it, and you need to frame things in a way that shows that you're an observer of it, but you're not a player. And the minute you cross the boundary and become a player, then I think you're on a slippery slope, in my view, in terms of the way I played my role, and that goes for personal friendships with ministers and the like. Like I have very, very good. I've probably worked with 20 government ministers over my career in pretty close quarters, and while I had good relationships with them all, no, sorry, that's not true. I had mostly good relationships with them. I didn't regard any of them as my mate, and I didn't want them to regard me as my mate, as their mate. So I think you do need to know where the line is.
Well done, Kim. Marley, there was a couple more.
Yeah, there's a few more questions coming through. Thanks, Ken. One here from Eleanor. How important did you find having mentors outside the organisation, and what did it help develop most, soft skills or technical skills?
Look, I think mentorship is largely about soft skills, because I think if you're in a leadership position, technical skills are something. If you don't have them, you kind of can decide whether to acquire them or not, or you can just decide that I'm going to have people in my team who are really good at that, and I'm not. I wouldn't point to any particular mentor, and people in this current day and age would probably find that a bit controversial. So I was never big into, I've got to have these kind of group of mentors or a particular mentor. What I've always been, though, is a pretty keen observer of the way other people go about what they do, and a pretty keen questioner of what they do and why they do it, and try and get behind those things. So for me, you do learn by asking questions and by observation, and you can learn by good observation and bad observation. I've talked before, and I'm certainly not going to name the person, nor the organisation, nor even the era in which it happened, but I learned a lot of lessons about how to be a good CEO by working for a really bad one, and observing what worked and didn't work for them.
Thanks, Cam. Next one, Marley.
Next one here, we've got one from Jessica Albion. Thanks, Jess. Hi, Ken. We hear a lot about things change in the industry, including mental health, which is one of their project topics this year. And the response is often that government needs to make changes to the procurement model to force industry to change. To what extent is it government's responsibility to push big changes down, or is there a responsibility for the big players in the game to band together and push up change?
Look, I think there's a bit of both, but I would make an observation about government's role. See, I'm old, and so I remember I worked for an infrastructure organisation. In the lifetime of my career, I worked for a government infrastructure organisation that delivered capital projects itself. So we actually had people out on the ground delivering capital projects, and it was in the kind of water supply and sewage utilities area. And interestingly, now there was already a lot of outsourcing by then anyway, but government had a role in industry skills development and in basically shaping the market or shaping the industry. And we would in fact train a lot of good young engineers and the like, and then the private sector would come in and buy them off us, and managers would curse that because they're losing all their good people. But the reality is, if you stood back from that and took a more kind of broader view of that, it was a good system. It actually, government as the client, if you like, was playing a role in how the industry developed. I actually think we lost our way completely when particularly in skills development, but it also goes for things like mental health and the pressure that we put construction sites under and all of those sorts of things. I think we lost our way as clients in government when we went, look, let's just leave it to the market. They're really good at it. They'll sort it out. And that's the way it'll work. They'll sort out skills development. They'll sort out mental health. They'll sort out, workplace health and safety. I don't think it's true. I think government has a particular role in setting the framework for that delivery and influencing it and deciding what it will and won't stand for as well. So, and I think some of the steps last year with the announcement of the 10-point plan, I think is a step back towards governments going, we're not going to go back into delivering projects ourselves. That's not going to happen, and nor should it happen. But it says, you know what, as the ultimate client here, we do have some responsibilities, and we ought shape up to them. And industry capability development and the like, and mental health and workplace health and safety across industry, in the infrastructure industry, government needs to have an oar in the water. Now, that's not to completely absolve the corporate sector, because I think they need to do a lot better as well. But I think we during my lifetime, I think for 20 years government abandoned its role in that and just decided to leave it to the market, and I don't think it worked.
Yeah, it's very interesting insight, Ken. You can put up your hand and ask a question, because Marley's going to run out of voice otherwise. So if anybody's asked a question wants to put up their hand and ask it personally, if Ken. We're all shy.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye out, but you can just put your virtual hand up and I'll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I meant the virtual hand. Sorry, I didn't mean your actual hand. Well, give us the next question anyway, Marley, while someone's thinking about putting up their hand.
I've got a question, David.
Did I hear someone pipe in for a question before?
Thank you, Anna.
So Ken, you spoke about those aspiring to leadership positions being authentic, thinking about their legacy. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the group about what you're most proud of that you've achieved from your time in government and in previous roles, and what of those initiatives you'd hope to see continued?
Yeah, look. I'll thank you for the question, and I'll talk about RMS because it's relevant to everyone, and it's also recent. So I can, I'm getting old now, and I'd have trouble remembering some of the other stuff. But to me, at a thing like RMS, delivering on time and on budget, and delivering the program, which we did. During my time there, we were 97, 98% on time, on budget, over a huge record program. To me, it was always the price of admission. Kind of that was you got to get that done, and if you don't get that done, then your successor will have to get it done, because you won't be around to think about it too much. To me, some of the things we did at RMS that I was most proud of were things that were about reshaping, not just RMS, but reshaping the industry. And they were around, I'm particularly proud of the stuff that was done in safety and construction, and the work that Jeff McCarthy and his team did in engaging with the 30 major construction partners. And, getting back to that, government's role, we basically said, if you don't share our values on safety, then we don't want to work with you. But by the way, we'll help and provide a framework and things that lead you to that. I think the work we did on women in leadership and women in engineering in the organisation was absolutely leading edge, I think now has a momentum that will see it continue, because there's no doubt that RMS would be a better place, and that industry would be better if it had a more diverse workforce, both from a cultural background as well as from a gender background. One of the bits that we were starting to do some work on, though, that I actually don't think we got far enough for it to bite is we were really trying to grapple with the issue of how do you measure the value of what you do. We had a program called Customer Value, which was really about trying to say what's our bottom line as a road agency and how do we measure it, and using that as a yardstick for how we make decisions. And we did a lot of, I think, we looked around the world and found that no one had really cracked that nut. And I think we were doing a lot of good work, but I suspect it'll get washed away in the annals of time until some other fanatic picks it up and tries to do something with it.
Well done, Ken. Thanks for that. Marley, the next question on the list.
Next question down on the list, Stuart Cook. I'll read your question. Thanks, Stu. Hi, Ken. I noticed you completed an MBA early in your career. On reflection, is this something that was beneficial to your career? And if you had time over, would you do one more again?
Yeah, look, I think it was beneficial. And interestingly, I did that quite early. I was probably in my late 20s, I think, when I did that. And I'm a believer in kind of lifelong learning. I think you need to continually challenge yourself and go back. I think that was useful at the time. It broadened my kind of education. Then I went back in 2005, I want to say, 2005, 2008, and did the advanced management program at through Melbourne Business School, which is kind of like a mini MBA, and that was a really useful refresher, given probably 10, 15 years had elapsed in that interim period. So I don't think you should kind of line up degrees like they're kind of going out of fashion, because you do need to spend, you learn most of what you learn in the workplace. I think what it does do is, so if you do it on an ongoing basis throughout your career, is it does keep that skill of being able to abstract away from the reality and see the bigger picture. I think is something that that sort of study helps you do. At the end of the day, I'm not convinced that it teaches you technical things that you need to know, but I think it kind of refreshes your capacity to stand back from something and analyse it on a bigger picture basis, which you can lose when you're kind of up to your neck in day-to-day stuff in a senior management role.
I tend to agree, Ken, and it tends to broaden your mind as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And there are other ways to do it, but I think that tertiary studies are a useful one.
Yeah, I agree. Marley?
Great. Another one here for you, Ken, from Michael Hill. Ken, as you developed your career, did you have a clear vision on the roles and areas you wanted to evolve over your career?
Not at all. So yeah, the whole kind of career plan thing, I mean, I knew, but when I say not at all, I kind of knew I wanted to work in the kind of infrastructure and infrastructure services style of organisation, and that's by and large what I've done throughout my whole career, and that's kind of not by accident. So to that extent, I guess I knew generally what I wanted to do. Which enabled me when people kind of come at me with sort of left field ideas about things to go off and do, I was able to go kind of, no, that doesn't really fit within that framework. But in terms of actually kind of deciding what to do and what roles I wanted, or even what I aspired to, it was really circumstantial and developed. And also you do things like, I stayed at, when I ran WSN, I stayed there. I was 9.5 years as chief executive. Now, all the textbooks will tell you that is far too, particularly, and I was mid-career at that point. Realistically, I was still still had quite a lot of career runway left, and all the good books would tell you that was far too long. But the reality is, it was a really interesting job. Things kept changing, and and that was ultimately a business that we sold, and we did try and sell it after I was kind of there for about 5 or 6 years, which would have been the exact right time. But sometimes these things take a bit longer. So I think for me, and I know other people try and plan this stuff out in a lot more detail, but for me, I had a general idea that I wanted to, of the industries that I was interested in. But I didn't have a very clear view of what roles I wanted to play within those industries, other than, I wanted them to be challenging, and I wanted to learn something, and I wanted them to be, important enough to make a contribution.
We're going to have the hands up. Anyway, does anybody want to ask a question directly of Cam? No? Next one on the list then, Marley.
Next one on the list here. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Sorry, I'm just having internet problems, so I've just turned off my video there. From Andrew, again, in your experience, type of timing of projects coming to market, reliability of pipeline is crucial to our D&C industry. Is there a way industry can better influence government in this?
I kind of missed the first bit of that question. Can you just go again?
Sorry, I'll repeat that. It says, yeah, in your experience, how much does the election cycle influence type and timing of projects coming to market? Reliability of pipeline is crucial to our D&C industry. Is there a way industry can better influence government in this?
Look, I think at some level, we need to accept that there's a political process, and we need to accept that that election cycles do play an enormous role. And I think one of the things that I think industry and the public service can do is, to try and develop and publish, and this is thing that, people like Infrastructure New South Wales and Infrastructure Australia and others are trying to do this, is to kind of like at least have most of the decent candidate projects out there, so that when the government's deciding what it wants to do, and when the opposition is deciding what it wants to promise, they're hopefully picking them from a menu of things that already exist. Now, that won't always be the case, but my observation is, for politicians, where it is matters much more important than what it is, if I want to put it in blunt political terms. And so there are certain projects in certain locations which will get the nod under particular governments for entirely understandable and predictable political reasons. I think you can rail against that, but I've said to a lot of people, who railed against politics, is, if you don't like politics, don't work for the government. And I think that's kind of true for the industries that work for government as well. So I think I do think you need to be kind of like, realistic about that is the process. But I think the things that industry and the public service can do is try and get as much information out into the marketplace as what you can. As I said, I always, to me, if the two candidates for X, Y, and Z electorate are arguing over what I think are the two most important road projects in that electorate, and the Libs and the Nats want to promise one and Labor wants to promise the other, then my job here is done. It's when they're picking stuff that from nowhere that we've got a problem. So I think there are things we can do, but I think we do need to be realistic. There is a political cycle. The big spending of infrastructure will always be part of the contest of electioneering. So I think that's it is what it is.
And I think the other thing, Ken, from an industry point of view, for everybody's information, that in the year before the election, our politicians tend to have their ears wide open. So if you look back in history,
Yes.
you find that we tend to have more influence in that year before the election to influence the next term of government. So don't knock the election cycle. They do listen to us, but they really listened to us in that last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the more you can encourage, pipelines and things to be published so that the opposition can pick from them as well, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. Anybody want to put their hand up, or we'll go to the next one on the list? No, where you go, Marley?
All right, next one on the list. Thanks, Philip. Ken, while you were managing the growth of the infrastructure program, how did you plan to sustain the industry if or when the growth stopped?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think one of the things, and we grappled with this a bit at Roads Australia. I remember when we were sitting around with the CEO, we used to have the CEOs forum. I'm sure you still do have the CEOs forum. I just don't get a gig anymore. But is what's the sustainable level for the industry, and I think that what we were trying to do within RMS was say, well, what's our sustainable program, and what's the the long-term program, and versus what's this lumpy bit that's coming largely, as it was in my time, from poles and wires money, so that we could kind of match both our internal capability and our view of industry capability off that. So I do think you need to, because it's not that helpful to build the industry up to an unrealistic level either. So it's not an exact science, but the only thing I would say though is that in the last federal election was interesting in that for the infrastructure industry there was precious little difference between there was a few different there was the odd difference in terms of key projects, but there was very little difference. We didn't feel at risk of losing any projects that have been, if Labor had been elected, which they were widely expected to be, we thought the pipeline kind of looked the same. So I think, or largely the same. And so I think, to the extent that we can do that to predict what that timeline is, or what that pipeline looks like, at least in macro terms, then we can sort of tailor industry capacity building to kind of match that, so we don't get too far behind or too far in front. But it is hard.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, Ken. Now, Marley, the next question. We've got 10 minutes left.
And yep, another one here from Alan. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Ken. What is your view on the assurance process for major road infrastructure projects, and how does this compare to the insurance process that mega transport project undergo?
So was the question assurance?
Correct.
Assurance, yeah. Sorry, there's just the odd words breaking up, and it's always the crucial word in the question. Yeah, look, I think so there's been over the last 5 or 6 years within government, there's been a very strong push towards independent assurance processes, and I think by and large, for both mega projects, but also for ongoing roads projects or smaller roads projects, by and large, I think that's been a good thing, in that I think it's put agencies like Transport for New South Wales and RMS that has existed, and Department of Transport in Victoria, and TMR in Queensland, it's put us all under a degree of independent scrutiny that I think is probably a good thing. We're spending literally billions of dollars of taxpayers' money. And if the government wants to get a second opinion on how well that they think we're doing that, then I think that's probably fair enough, to be frank. The danger of it is that internal assurance processes in organisations start to ebb away in terms of it all just becomes, how do we get the tick from Infrastructure New South Wales? And so you've got to look back, we've got to stand back and say, well, what's the objective of assurance? The objective of assurance is to give both the politicians, but also the senior management of the internally at the organisation, a level of comfort that things are going along reasonably well, or that risks are being managed, or that here are some decisions we're going to have to make. I think there is a danger in the current process where we're just going, yep. As long as we get the tick from Infrastructure New South Wales, we're okay, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, Infrastructure New South Wales come in, three wise men, normally is men. Hopefully one day that'll change, but three wise men come in, talk to you for 3 days and then pontificate. That's not a replacement for good internal assurance and control in organisations. Fundamentally, if you're the CEO of RMS or Transport for New South Wales or Department of Transport or TMR, it's your job to make sure there's assurance and not just go, well, we rely on external parties.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ken. I'll read one more last one here from Richard Hughes. You mentioned the importance of being across both strategy and the detail, specifically in government roles. Do you have any key learnings on how the efficiently managed this based on what you worked / didn't work for you?
Yeah, look, and it's a much lamented thing that chief executives and senior executives in government end up with an entourage or an office that starts to look a bit like a ministerial office. And I had one of those, and unfortunately, I think that's the only way to fulfill those dual roles. Is you actually do need some people monitoring some of that detail, and particularly things that are politically hot and in the media and things like that. And in a similar way that ministers need that, chief executives and senior executives to a lesser degree, but to a significant degree, need it. It's a resource impost, but it's part of the political process, if you like. And because if you try and stay across all of that detail yourself, then and I've watched senior executives do that, who do try, and then that's all they become. They become purely driven by that, and they don't have any big picture strategy time, and they don't have an agenda and a momentum, because they're constantly fighting fires. So the way I found to get balance, and it took me a while to do this because I was always reluctant to resource stuff at that level, because I always, I'm a bit of a miser on cost, actually, and I was never that keen to have this big kind of personal office that had all these high-paid people in it. But the reality is that you're far less effective if you don't. But you do need to know how to use those personal offices, because they can become a bit of a tower of power and insulate you from the organisation as well. So there's a yin and a yang to it. So, but a well-used personal office is the only way you could really stay across the detail.
I'm back, Marley. I dropped out. I think everybody's on Zoom at the moment. How many questions you got left? 5 minutes.
Yeah, was there any other questions from the floor? I think that's all that's come through the Zoom chat for now.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad we got through them all. There's no other last question anybody has for Ken? No? You haven't lost it, Ken. I think you've done very well. To tell you the truth, that wise head has remained, which is great for us and great for the industry. Great to see you still active, Ken. It is important that we do have our wise heads and our former CEOs remain with industry as much as we possibly can. And thank you very much for your time today. I think the reflection of the number of questions and the depth and the value of the questions, I think reflects the topic and the way you introduced it. I think most of you know we're going to, the fellows, 2020 fellows, are going to move into their project work after this. So I'd like to thank Ken on behalf of Roads Australia. Just to let you know that Roads Australia is going to be making a donation to Ken's charity of choice, which is Mission Australia. I think you all know that Mission Australia is a national Christian charity, has been helping vulnerable Australians move towards independence for 160 years, which is quite a pedigree. And every day we support people by combating homelessness, assisting disadvantaged families and children, addressing mental health issues, and fighting substantive dependencies and much more. It's a great organisation. We know it's been around a very long time. So congratulations, Ken, for choosing Mission Australia. And thank you very much for your time today and all the wise words that you've our fellows group.
Thanks, David. Look, absolute pleasure. Good luck to everybody in the program. And I've said this a number of times. I actually think the Fellows Program is really one of the great success stories of Roads Australia, and Roads Australia has many success stories. But this program is, for mine, is right up there. So good luck with it, and make the most of it.
Thank you, Ken. If everybody would like to turn themselves off mute, and we give Ken the best round of applause we can on Zoom. So thank you very much. Round of applause. Being in the Sydney Town Hall, is it?
No, it's just the same.
It's just the same. Fair enough. Good on you.
All right.
Thanks for your time. Now I'm going to dial out now as well. I'm going to hand back to Anna Andrews, who's going to take you through the rest of the afternoon. The alumni, thank you for dialing in. We'll see you at the next multi-state function. And for the 2020 fellows, I know you've got your project work now, but don't forget the mid-year workshop around July. We'll see you then, and there'll be some good work done at the time. Thank you again, Ken. I'll hand over to you, Anna.
Thanks, David, and thanks, Ken, once again. That was an insightful and really valuable conversation. Okay, so now those fellows who are no longer earlier than the 2020 fellows are free to dial out now. For those of you in the 2020 cohort, so we are going to be moving into our breakout sessions now for the group project. But before we do that, just a couple of things to mention. That obviously our July face-to-face, unfortunately, we won't be able to do that as we had originally intended. So we moved to later in the year, but we will have the CEO session on the 2nd of July. So please keep that free in your diary. Obviously, we'll also be moving forwards with the November end-of-year graduation for the 2020 fellows and the induction for the 2021 fellows. So please don't forget to keep those in your diary, and Marley will come back to you with more advice on what format all of these future sessions will look like. She'll also be putting some information and calendar entries into your diaries just to remind you of when things are due. There's also just a general reminder to everybody around your golden tickets. So those tickets that enable you access to the lunches, which are now the webinars, they've been extended for another 6 months. So please don't forget to use those and take those opportunities, because the value of the program is really derived by your full participation. So I would encourage you to take up those opportunities, particularly given the extended timeframes. And just so everybody's really clear, we're going to have council members who will sit in on each of your project groups, myself included, just to help guide the conversation, answer any questions that you may have, and just to give you some prompts to your thinking. If I can give everybody some advice, I would highly encourage you to think about the structure of your project team and who is going to fulfill what role. My personal experience was, and those who were on my team, was that we spent a lot of time, I suppose, in the scoping phase of the project, and rescoped and rescoped and rescoped, and we burnt a lot of time and energy not locking things down, not being clear about who was doing what, and in the end it came down to a big change right at the last minute, and we'd put a huge amount of work and effort into where we had originally intended to start, and we very quickly towards the end of the time frame changed that tact, which was not necessarily a bad thing from the final outcomes perspective, but it certainly did mean that we'd spent a lot of time and energy that otherwise could have been spent with family or other avenues. So just a word of warning to try and bed that down as quickly as possible. We've also refined the project to give you some real clear guidance around that we don't expect you to spend hours and hours upon what you already have in terms of a hectic workload with your day job. So this is intended to give you some clarity around what timeframes we want you should be looking towards, and then giving you some structure around that so that you can be disciplined in that regard, but not overstretch yourselves. So what I would just quickly do is talk to the project itself. Now, what I might, hopefully I'll be able to share my screen.
Anna, while you're doing that, can I just add one little thing before you start quickly? In terms of just going back to what Quentin had said earlier in the policy briefing, he's been here since late last year, and something that he wasn't around for, I guess, was the national series of forums that we did with a big focus on mental health. And as part of our strategic plan that was launched last year, the 3-year plan, mental health actually did feature in there, and the process, as he did touch on, of developing our policy plan is to get all of the agency heads together from across Australia and sort of see where their priorities overlap. So again, in our board workshop at the start of this year, the road agencies did highlight mental health as a growing concern to them. So while in the mapping exercise it didn't hit the highest priorities, it was in sort of the second layer, which is why we're addressing it. So I just wanted to reassure you that it is like a critical thing for us to be addressing, and also from our members over the last year. That's why we sort of did the submission to the Royal Commission on behalf of our members as well. They were asking us sort of on repeat what we were doing to address the issue in the industry. So it is really important, which is why we're getting you to work on it. We also have, excuse my microwave beeping in the background there. We also have a close relationship with the ACA and do actively support the work of the CILF, the Construction Industry Leadership Forum, particularly in the procurement and risk issues and diversity as well. And part of that is the supporting of the subcommittee, the Construction Industry Cultural Task Force, the CICT. And so we are keeping in touch with them in terms of making sure that we feed back this information for the cultural piece on that, as the mental health and wellness is critical. And I've also made a note to follow up the ISCA cultural standard as well. But I do believe that someone in our policy team is already exploring a relationship with that as well. So once again, that sort of fits under the capacity and supporting the CILF. So although it's not written explicitly on our strategic plan, it does tie in. And also we are supporting a lot of our members in promoting the mental health activity within their own organisations. So throughout this, if you are doing work that you want to either put in our newsletter, or if it's an event or something that we can promote to our members, then make sure you do let us know so we can share that across Australia. So that's all, Anna.
Great, thanks Hannah. Really good, I suppose, background as to how we got to where we are with selecting the project itself and the topic. So hopefully everybody will have read the brief, but it is in your mid-year workshop workbook. So for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to have a look at it, there's some background on the intent of the projects and what we are seeking to achieve with those. The reason why we have focused on mental health, and again, just reiterating that while the project is specifically looking for ways to address primary interventions for white collar workforce, it's certainly not suggesting that the blue collar workforce is not important. It's just around what we can contribute, and an area where there was an identified gap. So each of the groups will have been split out. There's 6 groups and they're based on location. The way in which you choose to meet and structure your team is up to you. And once we all move out, you can have those conversations and start to identify who will be leading which piece of work. The topic itself is around what we can do to redesign work to reduce mental harm, and each group is expected to choose a piece of work that's applicable to the broader industry, either in the contractor or delivery phase or the design and planning phase. So a couple of things, as I've mentioned, obviously, just in terms of consideration, this is around focusing on the white collar workforce. It does assume that procurement models and timeframes are fixed. It's focused on design and delivery with the aim of producing something that's able to be widely applied across Australia, not specifically to one state or jurisdiction. And we are encouraging you to reach out to government agencies. There will be contacts available within each of your various jurisdictions for you to reach into government to test ideas and potential solutions. So this isn't to say that that government would not be involved. Obviously, there would be some decisions that would need to be made by government depending on the ideas that you put forward. But certainly, please do reach in to those contacts and ask those questions to ensure that you've got as much information available to you as possible. And while measuring mental health improvement itself is not something that we would expect you to be able to measure due to its sensitive nature, there are things that you can seek to measure or you can seek to assess, which are around stress levels, time working, greater flexibility, for example. The deliverables are also mapped out in terms of when the scoping paper is due, when the report is due, and how the assessment will be carried out. There will be opportunity for feedback throughout that process. And again, you have a number of contacts available to you, so please feel free to reach out if you do have any questions or you'd like any support or guidance on where you are going. So with that, I might just hand over to Marley to take us through the way in which we can split out into our individual rooms for the work groups, and the council members will join you there shortly. So good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Anna. I think I can still see your shared screen. There we go. Can everyone hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Marley.
Yes, Marley, yes.
You're fine.
Okay, great, thank you. So let's see if these virtual workout groups work. So I've already pre-allocated some groups, so just bear with yourselves and myself as they flick through, and you'll all go out into your virtual groups. You've all got a project lead, as you would have seen already outlined in your workbook.
Oops.
So they've already been some goals for the session. So if you just kind of work through those and take as much time as you need, and myself and Anna will kind of be going through, checking in with everyone, making sure you're doing okay. So just bear with us as we'll put you into your groups now.
While this goes through, if anyone hasn't got their camera on, we recommend you popping that on for your breakout. sessions if possible.
Sorry, just assigning you all to your groups now. I'll assign you Anna, but you can jump back through as well. You should all get a notification when I've assigned you as well.
Next time we'll do some hold music or something.
Sorry guys.
It's all right, nearly there, Miles. All good.
I also want to make sure I'm putting everyone in their right groups.
If anyone's in the wrong one, we'll just drag them over to the right one.
I think Jessica Albion, oh, it says she hasn't joined yet, so maybe she's not accepted. Admit.
There we go. I think they're all gone now.
Oh, well done on that. That was painful. Oh,
Oh, you should see what I'm looking at right now.
Hello. We've got Brendan and Natalie.
Yeah, I've just
Hello.
Hi, brought you back in. Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to make sure I've got everyone in the right group. So WA, we've got Jeff, Nick, Hendrik. It's funny when people have different names as well. You've got to make sure that the right people are in the right group. Group 5 in Victoria. Oh, I've put Jill in there, but I can move Jill back out to get our fellows photo as well. Jessica Albion, Lucy Pike, Richard Hughes, Scott Tapley. Okay, great. I think we're pretty much good. Do you want me to can I bring Anna and Jill back out here and then we can just get a little photo? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do I bring them back out? Oh, it looks like they have to bring themselves out. I can't just take them out. All right. Sorry, guys. Doesn't look like I can join them back out. So what I might do, we might come back just at the end. So maybe at the end of our groups, before you guys check out, I'll bring you back into the main room. We'll get a group photo then. So Nat, I'll just put you in your WA group now. Thanks for dialing in.
Put any messages in the chat, in the WhatsApp maybe, if you've got any issues or.
Yeah, cool.
And
Molly,
any questions sorry.
No, you're right. I was going to say, Molly, can you drop me into the Queensland group as well? I didn't quite get there last time.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, why have you popped up here?
Yeah, sorry. I had to rejoin.
That's okay. No worries. I don't know why it's not giving me an option to put you in there. Hang on. Move, put in waiting room, remove, make co-host.
By the way, nice work
Thank you.
on everything that was today. That was really good.
Yeah.
Also smooth. It all went really smoothly.
Yeah.
Besides now, I just don't know why you're not even popping up on my thing. Hang on. Queensland. Oh, it says, here we go. Move to. If you're not joined, is there a message there somewhere for you, Brendan? It's like I've already requested you to go there, but it's not letting.
I didn't get there. That was the issue. It hung halfway through me getting there.
Cool. So what I might do is just, I might just shoot you out into the meeting room, the waiting room, and then I might be able to get you back in and we'll try again.
Thanks, Molly.
Bear with me 1 sec. Okay, great. Let's see if it gives me the option to now. Oh, how strange. Yeah, for some reason it's got you already, that you're already in
there,
Queensland,
right?
but it just says not joined. What I can do, it's giving me an option to put you into another one of the groups, but it's not giving me an option.
Can you delete him from the other group, like disconnect him basically, his other profile?
Yeah, the only option is to move you into another state group, which is weird.
Maybe move him in another group and then move him back to Queensland.
Yeah.
You can do that, yeah?
Post, allow, record, remove, put in waiting room. I don't know what happens if I remove you. That's not a good thing to do. Yeah, I might just, what I'll do, Brendan, is I can put you into another working group and then I'll split you and then maybe just come back out into the main group.
Yeah, I'll just wait. You just see what you need to do.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Did you get a notification to move into?
No, not yet.
Hmm.
I'm wondering if it's got the original. Maybe I've logged into a different instance of Zoom or something like that, and it's not letting it run properly.
Maybe. I might just remove you, and then if you refollow the link, come back.
Which one? The
Miles, Sorry to interrupt, Miles. Once you remove him, he can't get back in. The
Oh.
system will know, so don't remove him. If he chooses to log out himself, then he can come back in.
So I'll go out myself then, Rachel. No worries.
Maybe
All
just jump back. We'll let you back in.
Okay, sweet.
Sorry, Brendan. Thanks.
No, that's okay. No worries at all.
I just want to check this New South Wales group because I was trying to make sure I had split both groups out. Does someone have the list there in front of them so I'm not cross-checking? Or Prue or Han, do you have the group?
I got
in front of
it.
you?
What, hit me
So
what you...
group number one. Oh, it's because Anna's in there. So I've got Anna Andrews in that one. I might bring her out soon. Alan, Hayley, Linda, Matt, and Phil.
Yep.
And then group two in New South Wales, I've got A. Curry, Guy, and Ivo.
Yep. So we're missing Sarah Jones. Did she drop out?
She must have dropped out. And then in Queensland, we've got Andrew Hamill, Diana, James, Rebecca, and Stephen.
Yep.
Masters.
Yep.
Okay. SA and Vic, Dan Walsh, Kate Borg, Catherine, Lee, Scott, and Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hopefully that is going to work better now.
There we go. Hello. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to work. All right, I'm putting you in there now.
you.
Thanks, Brendan.
See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
I didn't have Kate in the SA Vic one.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's a fellow. So I've just put Kate in that group. Cool. I think that's everyone then.
Do you want to go over 5 and 6? Or are you good?
I think I checked that. So, but I'll go.
Okay, cool.
You.
That's okay.
5.
Yeah.
Jessica, Albion, Luke. Lucy, Richard, Scott, Tanya, and T. Terpstra.
Yeah. Tanya, Jessica, Scott. Yep, that's right. Yep.
Cool. And then group 6, Jeff, Natalie Lockwood's in there. Nick Kelly, Podrick, how would you pronounce his name? Paul and Verity.
Yep. And Jeff. You said Jeff, didn't you? Is Jeff Pacer? Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool.
Cool. Sweet.
And you're going to move someone back out of one?
Well, Anna, it's weird because I thought I could move people back into this room. Anna is currently in New South Wales Group 1. I don't know if she knows how she can float between them. As a co-host, can you guys float? Can you go into the groups or you can't?
I don't know. I wouldn't know how to do it. I don't think there's an option. Where do I?
Can you do that?
Where's the button? Prue, are you talking to us? Or are you talking to Mike? Oh.
Sorry, I was just talking to Mike for a second.
Right. Yeah. How do I do it, Marley?
Can you do that at your end, Prue? You know how there's breakout rooms as an option down the very bottom? Maybe it's not on yours.
I've only got security, participants, chat, share screen, pause or stop recording, and reactions. Am I supposed to see something else?
When we did our test, we could see all of
I thought
wonder
we did that test. You could do it.
That was as a meeting as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Breakouts aren't in webinars.
So what
Do we have too many hosts? Like if you took my co-host away, I wonder if Hannah will be able to see. Because I could see that when I was co-host.
Okay, maybe I'll just take you off co-host. Leave Hannah as co-host. Did any of your settings change, Hannah?
Hello.
There she is.
No.
Hi. I was like, oh, Anna's spit out into the New South Wales group. I didn't know if you knew how to get back.
No. It was, I did. Well, I'm challenging myself. I do have to go and make a phone call, but it seems to be going quite well, guys. Well done.
Is it?
Good.
Yay.
It's really clever, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you choose to come back in, Anna?
Sorry?
How did you choose to come back in? We're just seeing how you can see it.
Ah, yeah. So there was a thing up the top. I think it was. Oh, that's it. Oh, no. So you know where you've got your leave button down the bottom right hand corner? There was like leave room, leave breakout room, and then when I clicked on that, it said leave breakout room or leave meeting. So I just clicked leave breakout room.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, because anyone can do that. That's not like a co-host feature. Anyone can do that and come back to this conversation now if they wanted to.
How do I get back there?
I will have to allocate you.
Ah, right. Well, one moment. I'm just going to go and take a phone call, and I will be back and we'll talk. But it's yeah, I think it seems to be going pretty well, guys.
So what I can do, maybe once you get back, Anna, what I can do is actually make you the host, which means you can go in and you can join all of them. So if you wanted to, you can go in and just check in with everyone and just say hi, see how they're doing, and then go across to the next group. So yeah, but I'm just going to hang out here. So go for it.
Cool. Yeah, Miles, I still can't see any other options.
It might just be a host option.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe it's just a host option, but I've got all. So what I can do, so you know, I'll take a photo. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if that would be good, so I can just see where the option is.
Just for reference.
Oh, excuse me.
Oops.
I've had so much tea and coffee. I had to go to the bathroom like 800 times on that first bit.
Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom too. Oh, this looks so cool with everyone in their groups. Yay.
It would be so good if you could ghost in without them knowing.
I know.
I had MK on the messaging me going, can you see me? Can you see my name? Can you see my logo? I just want to sit here. Can you make sure I'm not
so funny? Make sure. I know. I was so paranoid at the start. Like, Rach, can you see me? I'm eating toast. I don't want anyone to see. I would stick like a sticky note over my camera as well as having the video off just in case.
And I'm like, Michael, I can see your name on the screen. but there were 26 other people that didn't have their screens on.
How funny.
It was so funny. It was all just no blank screens. Ken was really good.
We didn't really outline what all of the fellows, like, you know, those key things, but I guess we ended up putting that on their booklet anyway. So hopefully they
Which thing, sorry?
read their booklet. You know how we've just allocated them like a couple of tasks to do right now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? If they don't do it, they're on their own. read your document. But there were lots of questions, which was really good.
I know.
You know what we should do is, I mean, we'll get the extra resources, but send a reminder or whatever to say that, like, as in, if we find this PwC thing, Porrick just emailed me the ISCA culture standard thing, and then was there something else we needed to update? I can't remember. Anyway, and we can remind them that if we add anything, it'll be online. Oh, with the recording and the slides or whatever from policy as well. So we can do that later.
Yeah, put all that in the post event as well as like with all the photos and all that stuff. I want to do all that.
Yeah, true.
We just have to remember when we put the video out that this part's recording too.
Yeah.
Oh, we can edit it. Hey.
Yeah. Chop it out.
Otherwise, at the end, I just watch us doing this.
Hi.
I took a video of Jake and I doing a little bit of dancing. I was going to send it to you, and Jake was like, "You haven't sent that to anyone, did you?" I was like,
"No, you know."
It's okay if I just get all of the fellows, you guys probably won't hang around. Anyway, I might just stay in because there was a couple of people that said that they were coming late.
Okay.
Well, Sarah said she was coming late.
Yeah, so you're keeping an eye on the waiting room.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a it's a bit of a tip that sometimes it's a catch that you might not see them sitting around in there. Sometimes you don't get a notification.
Yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it? But I've just got it up on my screen the whole time. So if it's 1:30 now, maybe I'll get the council to come back at 2 for a group photo, or should I not bother them? Because you guys probably, are you gonna get it off?
Not a good shot of Ken. I posted it in the group.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks,
Yeah.
mate.
I was waiting for Han and you to smile. Because there was some.
Wow. I might just message all the breakout groups because there's an option to broadcast message to all. I might just say, because they can request assistance as well.
Oh, that's good.
So I might just say,
Such a big day, isn't it? It's a long time.
I don't know about you, but like having events and stuff just put me back in my mojo and make me way more motivated to do other things as well. I don't know, like if you feel like that or not really.
oh yeah, I've been on like an event high all morning. I'm like,
It's a funny thing though when it ends. You kind of, when it finishes, you're kind of flat. It's
like, oh,
it's really weird.
When it just turns off your screen, you're like,
yeah, I'm kind of going, where's the party gone? It's like everybody just walked out the door.
Yeah, right. It's like someone leaves without saying goodbye.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Oh,
where's my hug?
yeah. So
Really?
funny, leave meeting. Like when someone else ends the meeting, like you don't even click leave yourself and then it's gone. It's like, I find that like rejection. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Oh, I wasn't finished.
I don't like it.
After the IV one, I had to ring up Sophie and work through it with her because I was just sitting there going.
It just went.
We
Right, I'm actually quickly
other,
go.
you know?
I'm going to go and call Quentin. I want to ask him about some stuff.
So do you want to come back and get the photo, or am I just trying to make something that's not? I'm always the one trying to get a photo of everything.
Yeah, I mean, we can come after.
Get the photo, Miles.
When are we doing it?
We haven't had like a posed photo or like a
Yeah, you should get a photo. You'll want it.
And especially with the council, like even though I knew Ross wouldn't show up, so we don't have Ross. I think everyone else is here though. I think Ross is the only one.
He's not officially the outgoing. Is he? Yeah. He's officially outgoing though, yeah?
Yeah.
Did he message and even say he wasn't coming?
Not to me.
He's ruthless now.
Maybe I'll ask everyone to come back like now if they can, and then they can go back into the meeting groups.
You gotta wait for Anna.
You want to wait for Anna? Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Right. Well, I might just quickly put this on mute and go to the bathroom and grab a little snack, but it's on loud. So if you like say, okay, we're ready now, I'll hear you and I can come back in, okay?
Yeah. No worries.
What you doing?
Hello. Nothing. I'm like, oh, that was so frustrating with my internet connection before. You should have seen it at my end. It was so blurred. That's why I turned my camera off because it improved as soon as I turned my camera off.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah, I could hear it kind of like, yeah.
Was it bad when I was asking questions? Because
did drop out a couple of words.
Okay. Oh, that's
but enough that you could understand what the question was.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could hardly hear anything. I could hardly hear Ken's response, and I was just like, "Hope people can hear me right now."
Wait.
You were very calm.
Okay, yeah, because this notification popped up on my screen and said something like, "Your broadband network is under restraint" or something, and the whole thing just like it kind of shrunk, and then I was like, "What is that?" I was like,
well, that happened before I broadcasted the ISCA one, and it said your internet connection is, it said something like is unreliable, and And I just thought, oh my God, it's going to shut down. It's going to shut down.
Oh, good.
Panic. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, turn video off.
I should put someone as co-host, because I think if I'm the only host and there's no co-host for the other events, it'll just shut down.
Yeah.
It'll close.
Yeah.
At least you've got co-hosts for this, so that if you fall out, Marley.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If I dropped out, does it nominate the next co-host or something, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I thought that. I was like, I'm sure it's smart. I'm sure it would do that. It wouldn't just be like as soon as I dropped out that the whole call ended. I'm like, I'm sure I would just drop out and it would still stay on. So that's good.
But most of them came in from Ken's. For Ken's, only about 10 didn't, I think.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Mm.
Okay, just telling the council that we'll get a group shot before they go. Yeah, that's pretty good. Although I thought more people would have asked like face-to-face questions. There was a lot of like questions, which as I'm reading, I'm like, I was like, oh, some of these questions are really long.
People didn't want to be seen. They don't want to be seen, do they? They turn their cameras off.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although people were pretty good in with Luke as well. More people, I think, had their cameras on. And
I think because it's so long and they might have been eating or something.
Yeah,
that is true.
Also, so I just find it very odd. So I was going to talk this out. So my breakout group options. Oh, Sarah just joined. Hang on. Just going to bring Sarah in. Hi, Sarah. I don't know if you can hear us.
She's still connecting.
Oh, still connecting. Connecting to audio. I'll just allocate her group.
I got to cool too.
Oh, hello, Sarah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hi, that's okay. How you going?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
That's good, not too bad. So everyone's just in their breakout groups at the moment. So I will just, I'll assign you now to group number 2 you're in. So I'll just pop you in there now.
Thank you.
Thanks, have fun.
Cheers.
It's so funny.
Have fun, bye.
I'm like, see ya.
Go on.
It's such a weird concept.
I'm telling you, it was like they were just like dropping off the screen like one by one. I'm like, it's so funny. It's like a horror movie.
And I was thinking that, I was like, oh, the first people that went into their group, I reckon just would have been like, hello?
What is going on here?
It would have just been them until someone else joined. I think everyone probably, well, no one probably knew what to expect, but
It worked well though. Did you see Google's trying to create like their own version of, I guess, like Zoom, I don't know what they'd call it, like webinar based functions?
What is?
Google.
Oh, Google. Yeah. Well, is that part of the Facebook one? Because Facebook's doing that. Is that part of Google? Yeah. Or maybe it's different.
I don't know. But I was thinking, I wonder if their security would be better and therefore government would be able to come on.
Yeah, that's true. I reckon it would have to be. Surely. But yeah, we might have to end up giving that a test if we, you know.
Yeah, I wonder what, I can't remember where I saw it. I think it came up as like a Herald Sun push notification.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's right. I've spoken about it now, so it will come up constantly for the rest of the week.
Perfect. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. So how weird. When I went to the breakout groups part, like the little button here, there was only some, like my group 6 WA, group 5 Victoria, like I've outlined all the groups and named them, and there was probably only about 4 people in the CSV file that were already allocated to that group, and everyone else were unassigned. And I was like, that's why I had to go through the spreadsheet and like cross-check of who was in which group and then assign them to their group, because it didn't pick up their email address, or they just said that they were unassigned, which was weird, but it did pick up a couple, and the groups are named how I like put them. It's just, I don't know, weird that it only picked up a couple. I thought it would have done a better job than that, because the CSV file was quite like, it's quite straightforward. Like it gave you a template. It said literally just put the group in this column and then their email address in this column, and just label which group each person is in. And then you just upload it, which I did. So I had more faith that that was going to pre-allocate them into the groups, to be honest.
I wonder if it's the way they log in.
Yeah, maybe.
It's really weird. That's really disappointing though. How annoying.
But surely surely it wouldn't have just been their email address, because surely more people would have used their work email, like the same email address than 4 or whatever already pre-allocated. Anyway, it's weird.
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. I guess you did sign up with an email address when you first began.
Yeah. So, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to be like 2 seconds. Is that okay? I'm just going to put you on mute. I'll be back. Okay. Just hang out. Keep the going. Okay, hello. I'm back.
I put it on mute and then I was like,
thanks for manning the rego desk.
Oh, that's okay. Had so many people come through. Just got to take photos of the people that didn't come.
Oh yeah, good work. I might just actually, because I feel like, group SA and Vic don't, oh no, sorry, they've got Kate Borg in there. Group 1 New South Wales, Group 2 New South Wales doesn't have many people in there. I'm just wondering if I should go check on people, because I thought Anna would be going around checking on people. I was going to put her in Group 2 New South Wales. She's only been into Group 1. Anyway, they're still there. That's a good sign.
Yeah. Do they know just to leave when they want to, or are they coming back for a close?
We kind of said this is the close, you know, just go when you want to. I mean, I guess it gives you an option when you click like leave, and maybe people will come back into the main room before they go, just to say goodbye.
That's very hopeful of you, Marley.
Maybe they'll come say goodbye.
Maybe they'll ask where drinks are.
Yeah. Where the after party is. Nice. Oh, how funny. But what I was trying to do at one point was also see if you can do 2 speaker spotlight videos. So it's easy enough to do 1, but then I thought you could have it so you've got 2 like co-hosts on the screen, if that made sense. Every time I made someone's spotlight video, did it work on yours? Yeah, okay.
I don't know because I always had mine in the same view.
Oh, okay, you used yours on speaker view. Did yours work great?
For Ken's it did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But I don't think you can do 2.
You can't do 2 people, it's just 1. Okay. So maybe it was just automatic for me when, you know, when in Kat's webinar, how it was like the AHA team were all bunched together, but maybe that was just a fluke.
They were all paneling. I think she did that as a webinar. And so, you know, like our ISCA one.
But you could still see people. No, because I could see other participants.
I couldn't.
Oh, couldn't you? Prue, could you? Oh, Prue, you weren't in it. Oh, how?
I only saw about 8 people. I couldn't see you or Hannah.
Oh, couldn't you? I think I could see your box, but I don't think you had your camera on. I think most people had their cameras off, but I could see like the actual squares.
She needed to have someone else speaking.
Yeah.
Becomes like, you know, too much when one person speaks all the time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know if I should go check on everyone.
Marley, there's a lot of rain in your area.
Oh, is there? Are you giving me my weather update now? Has your radars extended to New South Wales?
Yeah, I've worked out that if I click on Canberra, then I can kind of work my region out.
Yeah, that's a lot of rain right there.
That's a lot of rain. That's a lot of rain.
That's a lot of rain.
It's like circling. You're going to get like the like salty rain.
Oh yeah, there's like nothing in Melbourne.
It's very patchy.
It's very patchy. Oh yeah, look at that. There's even some red in there.
Oh yeah. If you go to National View, it's like all of that coastline is like raining.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm going to have to start doing like indoor. Well, I already kind of started doing indoor dance. Have you guys heard of Les Mills?
Yeah. Les Mills. They do stuff out at Fitness First.
Ah. Yeah, everyone's doing it online. So apparently it's free and you can do it on YouTube, and they've got classes that you can.
Because I know that they do, something through the gym. And I did like a few of the classes, but they were always at like really obscure times.
Ah, I'll send you this link.
Okay.
I'll send it to you now. Because Ella sent it to me, and then someone else told me about it, and then I've just heard it like a few times, and then Ella sent me this link, and she said, "Oh, this one's a really good one. Do this," and then she heard from that. So.
Georgia has just ordered point shoes from a ballet shop, and they've just come in. She's been going to the mailbox every day. She's not a ballerina, but she just wants a pair of point shoes and she wants to start.
Oh, how lovely. Hi, Nat.
Hiya. I had a team member stepping away, so I'm like, right, I think I can abandon my team happily. They know what they're doing. They're always talking about like meeting schedules and things. I'm like, okay, you guys have got.
Yeah, you're out now. How did they go?
Good. They went really deep, actually, really, really deep into the content. There was no chit chat. There was no what is it, skylarking, whatever the word is, around the place. So yeah, and I kind of, my advice was, okay, pick a segment, pick a slice of the issue. Otherwise, if you go kind of too broad, then it's too hard for you to find anything meaningful. So and they immediately started asking about the presentation, how is it marked, and what should we focus on? And I'm like, just focus on quality. Like, if you just and assume that you're going to be presenting to someone quite senior, and then therefore you'll pitch it right. So so yeah, and I said to Barry, I will contact you about the WA webinar as well. Just a little swamp. And of course, two things fell in my lap this morning that were unexpected, and I'm like, no, this day just cannot get any worse. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm multitasking.
I know. Oh, well, thanks for making the time and joining in. It was really good that you could join in and make it. I know it's a weird and crazy time for everyone, so it's really nice to see everyone's faces on here and everyone pitching in where they can. So
no, it's good. I was just ashamed I missed Ken's presentation because I was really hoping to get there, but the day had other plans. And look, I'm happy to stay on the line for the photo. When's that going to happen, if you like?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just actually waiting for Anna to get back. Anna's just on a call.
Yep.
And so I thought, maybe when Anna gets back.
Yeah. So I'll just mute myself and
are you sure? Yeah, I'm not sure how long Anna will be, but then Kate said she has to leave at 2 anyway. So I'm like, depending on if like Anna gets back before 2.
Yes. So that's fine. I'll stay connected, and I'm just going to keep doing this workshop prep. So
yeah, go for it.
Yes, no worries. Just wave if I'm not listening or something. Like,
okay.
Hi.
Oh, good. I will, or message you.
Right. Yes. I've got both phones sitting here and computers, so it's all good. All right. Thanks, ladies.
Yes, thanks, Nat. Yeah, hopefully that timing works for a group photo. Sorry, Rach, you were saying before about Rach, I don't know if you're there or not.
Yeah.
Oh, you are here. Hello.
Yeah. I'm just in the background, but yeah, she's wanting to point these point shoes. So, Mum, can you please get down to the post office? I said after school, and because she's still.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Oh, there we go.
Anna's back.
Hi, Anna. Don't worry.
The chocolate.
I was about to say, don't worry, eat your lunch. Chocolate's a good idea. I've got a little stash still around.
Not chocolate for lunch, though. That's not really a good idea. But anyway.
Yeah, you need to eat something more substantial than chocolate.
Maggie wants to say hello. She's being a rat.
Oh, hi, Maggie. Hi, darling.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, she's way too cute.
Oh my God, I feel like she's grown already.
She's so much bigger, isn't she? She's so
yeah.
He's so wiggly.
What's her breed, Anna?
Cavoodle.
Oh,
she's like a little teddy bear. Say, look at me with my little nose.
So cute.
Way too cute.
Oh, she's so sweet. What I might do is bring the fellows back into here so we can grab a photo now, so then we can all go back or head off. Does that work for you?
Yep, that works.
All right. I'll just say.
You didn't want to go get Sayo?
I know it's tempting.
Yeah, come on, let's have a dog party.
We have a dog party. I don't know where Sayo is. I think he's been I took him for a walk this morning though, and because the grass was all wet, he came back a very soggy pooch.
Well, Maggie went to the beach for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And she looks like Harry McClary when she gets wet. Is the funniest thing. It's like she's all little teeny tiny legs and little scraggly Rastafarian fur. She's so funny. She actually does look like Harry McClary though. Harry McClary, go fairy, hey? Come on. Where's your ball?
All right. Hopefully that made sense. I just told everyone if they could leave the group and then come back into the main meeting.
Great.
Perfect. Yeah, I thought we might as well get a group photo away. We didn't really. I got a couple of like screenshots while we were talking through a few things. So thanks, Anna, for co-hosting as well. Really good job. I think.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Poor Jill isn't feeling too good today. Is she still on the call or?
Let me check if she's still in her breakout group. Yeah, she is. She's
Okay.
still. Yeah, she's still in her breakout group, so she must be in. Still there. Poor thing.
Oh, yeah, it's not good.
Hey,
Stop biting. No. Look what I've got. Ooh.
Well, that sounds like a treat.
It's a treat. It's going to go in the playpen.
In the playpen.
She has a little playpen that she goes into, although she's a bit sick of it at the moment. You've been in there for hours, haven't you, since we started?
Oh, that's a good idea. I need a playpen for my dog, and he's 6.
Thankfully, my dog just sleeps all day.
Is she your fur baby, Anna?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, she's most certainly, she's more spoilt than any child I've ever known, I'll tell you. It's ridiculous.
Oh, can't help it though, can you?
No. And she, why?
Like, oh, you've been so good, another treat for you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God knows what I'm going to be like with my kids. Hopefully I won't be giving them that much chocolate and the amount of treats
I know, right?
Oh, are you talking about hearing Anna's kids in the background?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They weren't my kids, those that were in the background earlier, they were just random.
Oh, no, rental. It was hilarious. And then I could hear like a vacuum going.
Yeah. High density living, right?
That was so funny.
Oh, I love it. Kate, how did you go in your group? How's your
Yeah, the group, they're really good actually. I think they're a good group. They all really listening to each other and really rising to the challenge. They're doing this thing called, I don't know if anyone heard of it. I hadn't heard of it before, called mural.co. And they've got like a whiteboard and they're all just putting like Post-it notes and things on this whiteboard. It's really cool.
Is that can you incorporate that into Zoom, or is it like
No, you got to go out. It's another web-based application. It looks like it's an Oricon thing. So Lee set it up on her thing. So, but it's really good. So she had a whole storyboard set up, and they're just putting, and everyone's got their own little avatar, and everyone's just putting their own little. Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, what's it called? Mural Co.
Yeah, mural.co. Some sort of app.
Ah, okay. I've just noted it down. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
How did you guys go? How did you go, Anna? Was your team?
Yeah, I thought that you could.
Yeah. My team, I left them a little bit earlier because I had to go and take a phone call, but they were interested in the comments I made around ensuring that people's roles and responsibilities are really clear. Just because, I've talked about why we put an indicative lead in, but it was ensuring that the distribution of work was even and that people's skill sets were really highlighted in what they were contributing to them, to the project itself.
I'm really surprised that people don't automatically do that. I mean, you obviously did it. We did it as well. So that must
we did it. We did it kind of by default because it ended up only being 3 people who worked on the project in the end. So.
Oh no, we did it. We nominated a lead first up, and guess who got the lead? And it wasn't me.
Jill?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it was just a few of us in the end. We are quite a big group, though.
Do you know what I found too? That because I'm the consultant, I found that the consultant is always, because we're the lowest in the pecking order. I always got left with the stuff to collect and the stuff to do, because we're so used to just responding to clients' wishes that I tended to be putting my hand up all the time. I'm looking around going, hang on a minute.
That's great.
Get used to, I suppose.
Oh, I love that.
The session with Luke seemed to go well. I left it running while I was on my other call, but it seemed to go on for some time, and there appeared to be a lot of questions. So that's really positive.
Heaps of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate, I'm mindful.
Oh yes, it's 2. Yes, thank you.
You have to go. Should we take a quick? Yeah, can we take a quick snapshot before you go?
Yeah,
we're
yes.
missing Jill,
We're missing Jill.
but we might just do a quick photo. It looks like she's still in the project group 5.
Can you bring her back
she
in?
hasn't come out yet. No, I thought that I could, but I can't. It's only got me an option to move her into another group. Oh, hang on. Did I do something? No, she's still there. It's only got me an option to move her into another group, unfortunately not back here, which is weird. So maybe we'll get another one with her when she gets out.
People might think she and I are the same person.
People do think you two are the same people, though. Like,
Always have, yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean? They're not the same person?
That's right.
I think you could just like take a picture of
alright,
her
guys, I'm
separately
just
and then
gonna
just
take a
paste it in, Marley.
yeah.
quick screenshot. Yeah, we're photoshopping. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. If everyone can smile, Hannah. Hannah, you're in this too.
Sorry, I was eating.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
I hate this.
Sorry, I got it.
I like seeing the little box jump around, like whoever.
Yeah, like whoever's making noise.
Yeah.
All right, dudes. Thanks for that. Thanks, Marley. That was good fun.
Thanks, Kate.
Speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. Have fun.
See you
Don't be
guys.
strangers. See you soon. Bye.
Hey, Marley, can you send me back to my group?
Sure. What I was thinking, Anna, because there's 2 New South Wales groups, so I think you were in the one before group 1. I might just chuck you into project group 2 in New South Wales, which has, a couple of other people in it. Are you okay to go check on them first, and then we're back to the other one?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll chuck you in
Oh,
there.
actually, I've got a thing here where it says join breakout room, so I can do that.
Oh, can you?
It says
Yeah.
group 1 only.
It's whoever you allocate us to.
Whoever you've allocated me to, I can go back.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe I won't. Oh, you're right. I can't even
Reallocate.
allocate you to another group.
All right. Well, I'll go and check with these guys and see how they're going. How much more time do we have? Another half hour or so?
Yeah.
What are we doing? How are we finishing this up?
I think everyone can just go at their own pace. Like once they're finished, then just clock off.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
I think that's fine. Thank you.
Okie dokes.
There we
All
go.
right,
I'm like,
gonna-
why? Yeah, go on. You go now.
Sorry. This is our entire life at the moment. Like, no, you go. No, you go.
No,
so,
no,
yes,
stop interrupting me. Yeah.
Or just like, you're on mute.
No, I mean it.
You're on
Yeah.
mute. Unmute yourself. Yes, I'm going to dash off to just get prepped for this other workshop. Thanks for being so flexible, Marley. I appreciate it. And yes, talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Nat. Take care of yourself and hope everything's good. Okay, bye. Thank you. How about you, Brendan?
Yeah, I'm going to head off as well. I've just set the Queensland guys up pretty well. They're pretty happy with where things are at. They've got Andrew actually works out to, it looks like a really good project lead. So great choice on him. And I've got them thinking about the whole process. Like they're choosing the option 2 and then the whole process in that. So, you know, from when an issue actually begins, what is the precursor for all that type of stuff, right through to how do they get help. So the other thing they asked me to do was join their group as a sit-in for their group meetings, and I said no. So I hope that's okay. I just, I just said, look, I might be a.
Because I mean, they have.
I might be a judge. Sorry. What was that?
I think she's frozen.
I know.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, she's back.
I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
I think I'm frozen. I think I'm frozen. Am I back now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
You froze nicely though.
Yeah, it was like really.
Oh, no. Was it a really bad face?
No, you were like.
Yeah, it was a nice thing.
It was perfect.
That one though.
I was just responding to the. Yeah, I was just responding to your first comment. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing?
Hi, Verity.
Hello. Just, I think I hit return instead of step out.
Oh, that's okay. I was hoping people would come and say goodbye before they left, so that's nice.
Oh, there we are.
Thanks.
Thank you. I hope you had a good session. Thanks, guys.
And just briefly, Prue, you said that from today that it was recorded, and I assume then it'll be distributed?
It will be, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll catch up then.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Verity.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Verity. Bye.
Sorry, Brendan.
No, that's all right. No worries at all. So look, that's kind of where things are at. I don't want to join their group. I said, I might be a judge one day. So I don't think I will be, but I didn't think that it was really appropriate. So apart from that.
I mean, Nikki asking for
I'm losing
more of your time. I mean, they've got their resources
I'm
anyway.
going to turn my video off just in case that has something to do with it.
Might be your connection, Miles. Yeah.
I think it's my connection.
Yeah.
How's that now? Is that a bit better?
I don't know if that's
Molly? Yeah, we can hear you now. Kind of.
okay. Sorry. Guys.
Yes. All right. Look, I'll leave you,
I was
you
just
guys
saying,
to it.
yeah, that's absolutely fine. And
No, you go. All right.
sorry. Take care. Thanks, Brendan.
Bye.
It literally hits like 2 o'clock and I've lost my mind.
Oh yeah, I haven't been able to focus on what I've got to get done today. But are you not having them all join back in, Miles?
You're on mute.
Sorry. We've already done a close before we sent them out.
Say again?
Not having any luck.
Paul,
You know what?
someone is in the waiting room.
Oh, someone's in the waiting room.
Yeah, we've just let them.
I've just brought him in.
I'm not a host anymore.
Hi, Paul.
Waiting for audio.
Really?
I've given up on talking because my mic seems to be, well, my internet seems to be playing up. So
Okay,
I've turned my video off, so it's hopefully not as bad.
that's
No,
fine.
yeah. Audio is great when your video's off.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Molly, can you send me back to room 1? Because I went to room 2.
Yep, no worries. Hang on one second.
Was like,
This is the most clever thing, honestly. It's ridiculous.
All right, I've just sent you back. I know, it's clever, isn't it?
Great, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, awesome. It's awesome.
Cool.
I'm so glad it's working. I was so anxious that it wasn't going to work.
It's
It's New South Wales. Killing it.
You with us, Paul?
No.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Can you guys put me back to room 6, please? I was kicked out.
Oh, were you kicked out, Paul?
Yeah.
No worries. I'm putting you back.
Thank you.
Oh, it looks like there's no one else in there. So maybe everyone left.
Okay, yeah, they were still talking, we were chatting, and then my internet went out. So
Okay, yeah, a couple of the WA attendees did leave just before, so I think they must have clocked out. So I would suggest just yeah, maybe if you've got all of their email addresses, even just flick them all an email.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for joining.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you, Lucy?
Good. Just leaving our breakout session. I think we nailed it. We're feeling really good. We've got our next meeting sorted, so we kind of didn't need that last 20 minutes.
Yeah, no worries. I thought some people would finish up early, so that's absolutely fine. Thank you. I was hoping people would stop in and say goodbye on their way out.
Oh, good. I didn't want to accidentally crash a meeting, but no, thanks so much, guys. That was a great session. Really appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks so much. See ya. Who else do we have? Do we still have Scott Tapley and Paul?
Paul's left. Scott's trying to come through.
Oh, there we go. Paul's out.
Yeah, Scott's coming through. Who was that came in and went out?
When just then?
Yeah, at the same time as Lucy. I didn't catch her name. I just saw eyes.
Oh, really?
Like,
was that Lucy?
Just like this. It was like that.
Eyes and roof.
Yeah.
I don't like having my video off. It's weird. But if my internet screws up, I might have to go back and turn back into a logo.
Turn back into a logo. Ow. I keep kicking things.
Might have to turn back into a logo. Okay, I think
Scott's come and gone.
So WA group has gone. One of the Victorian groups is disappearing. Jill looks like she's in group 5 on her own.
She's just not paying attention.
We've still got SA Vic group. I might put Jill in there. Oh no, I shouldn't move her into there. SA Vic group, both New South Wales groups are still going and Queensland is still going. Oh, well, they're doing well. I thought they would have all disappeared by this time, if I'm honest.
What time did you give? You gave them till 2:30, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, another 15 minutes. We're nearly there. So cute. My mum just dropped off some tea and grapes for me.
Waves.
Thanks, Mum. Nice having someone take care of you. Like, haven't had this for a while. Not even in my last relationship.
My hubby's, he's really good. He does deliver stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
You hear that?
Oh, what's Mike say?
And he's like, yeah. He did bring me a croissant and coffee for tea.
Yum, where's my croissant and coffee? Please, Mike.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get back to you on that one.
It was so good. I was like, I'm gonna have to turn my camera off.
I live in Where did Hannah go? Did she leave?
Oh, yeah.
A while ago.
Yeah, she
Right?
disappeared. I thought she said I'm going quickly,
Oh.
but it was really quick.
Oh, we've got this weekly budget update, events and sponsorship. Oh, that's today. I didn't even think.
Didn't we just do that like a couple of days ago? Or was that actually last week?
That's with all of us, Hannah and V. Do we need to do
No.
that?
I was going to say, do we have to do it again? Has
No.
there been a MK yet?
It's not in my diary.
It's not in your diary.
Well, let me check. It's not in
It
my
should be.
real
You're
diary,
in
which is what?
2:30. 2:30 to 3:30.
Oh, yeah. No, I have it.
Yeah, it's in my diary, but it wasn't on my radar.
I just need to have a nap.
Wasn't on my radar. Same. I think we all need a break after this. I don't want to go into a
Yeah, just
budget
cancel
meeting.
it.
That's the last thing I feel like going into. I know we're still recording, but we'll just cut it out.
I know we're still recording, but we'll just cut that out.
We better cut that out.
I better cut that out.
Bloopers.
Should I just message maybe?
What?
We could move it to tomorrow. Do we need to do it?
I don't think we need to do it because we closed off on it, and
It's not a fun meeting to have, so we just won't do it.
yeah, well, but I don't think we're actually achieving anything. I think it's already been done.
No.
We've got. I don't have anything more to add until we have some real examples of how the market's going to bear the sponsorship, or how whether we know we're running events.
Pretty much.
Okay. I'm just saying, still on the call, can we do this budget next week? Or in a grant. I spell it grants. Why isn't that working? All right, cool. Hopefully we don't have to do that. All right, let me check out the group 4. I might go check on group 4. Group 2, New South Wales is gone. One of them, group 1, still there. So we've got Queensland, group 3, which is Queensland still running, group 1, New South Wales still running, group 4, SA and Vic still going to. Well, thanks for all your help too, guys, and getting it all together and everything, and doing the Zoom group tests and everything. I think they work really well. I'm surprised.
Yeah, really well. Yeah, really well.
Really do a lot for policy and stuff.
Yeah. There's only one problem, and that's a lot of the government isn't accepting Zoom. So I'm looking into Adobe ON 24.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hey, Marley.
Yes. Hi. I was hoping you'd come back into this room and say goodbye before you went.
We're trying to work
How
that
did you all
out.
go?
Yeah, good. Yeah, really good.
Good.
Yeah. We've got a plan. Yeah, we've got meetings set up. We've got actions. We're kicking goals. Yeah. Got a Teams page.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. Oh, that's great. Well, I'm glad the breakout rooms all worked, and yeah, that you've got a kickstart. So well done. Thanks so much for joining.
No problems. No, that was cool.
And taking the time. I know it was a bit of a long day, but yeah, good. Okay, thanks. I hope
Cool.
you guys are all well and working okay from home too. And yeah, take care.
Thanks, Marley.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Hi, Jill. Oh, you're on mute, Jill. We can't hear you if you're talking to us.
I had to step out for 15 minutes and I came back and my group had already shut down and gone.
Oh. Yeah.
Time to go.
But that's all right. They were doing.
We've had a lot. Yeah, we've had a lot of people leave. I think there's 2 more groups still up and running. A couple of other groups have already clocked off, which is so fine, and they did well to last a while. But they seem pumped, and I think that worked really well doing the breakout rooms.
Yeah, it did. I think it worked well. Like they were just talking about what topic and stuff they should utilise, and so the group was doing everything and talking about what interests them out of the topic and trying to settle on stuff.
Yeah,
So
great. That's good.
I'm impressed by your technology. Who knew you could do that? Send people off to groups and come back.
I know, virtual groups. We're setting the bar high, aren't we?
I'll tell you what.
Who knew Roads Australia would be so cutting edge?
That was very impressive, I have to be honest.
Good to hear. Thank you.
So you probably don't need me anymore then.
Yeah, I was about to say that's pretty much it. So thanks so much. I know you're flat out busy and you've also got so much going on. So really appreciate you taking the time. And I know it was a bit of a day to put aside.
It's all right.
Thanks so much, Jill.
I am. It's actually the worst part of it. I'm not feeling great today. I was texting Anna saying, I'm sitting here sipping on some soup and stuff. So anyway, that's all right. Now I go and do my other job.
I know, it's a bit like that. Hi, Andrew. Hope you're going good. Oh, no.
Hello, how are you? Are we done then?
Good, we're pretty much done. Yeah, thanks for checking in before you check out. This is the main room, so you've just come back to the main room to say before you go.
That's all right.
It's so kind of
I'll wave goodbye.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good. Take care. Okay, see ya.
You're freezing
in the
again,
meantime,
Mars.
I need to just like create like an RA like logo.
Yeah.
Become a logo.
We could do that in people, or we could do all of us. The body, maybe not.
RA.
Oops.
Alrighty, I think that's everyone.
Got Lynn and Winnie.
Oh, here he is. Hi guys.
Hi.
Must be the SA team. Hi, how did you guys go?
Looks like Lee's gone.
Yeah.
We sort of landed onto the option 1, and I think that we have something to build onto. We were going to talk about constructor to share their personal stories. So hopefully we can get some notes and some bonds all together and deliver this, and deliver this scope of paper in a month's time. We're going to catch up next week just to brainstorming a little bit more and assign tasks.
Oh, great.
That's terrific.
Good to hear. Thanks so much, Winnie. Thank you. And thanks for dialing in. Hopefully you found today valuable as well. So thanks for everything.
Absolutely. No worries. All right. We'll keep in touch.
Okay. Take care. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Is that it, Miles? Your face says it all.
I'm sick of being a logo. I want to
be a person.
I want to be real. We've got one New South Wales group still kicking.
My God. Who's
They
in
have
that?
5 minutes. Is that the one Anna's in?
I might just yeah. I'll
She's
give them
giving
5
it the
more
rev
minutes
up.
and I might go in and kick them out. Yeah. Hang on, I'm just listening to this voice. Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Did you miss me?
Yep. Yep. So which
Thank
is the
you.
group that's still on? The one
Thank you
with
for
Sarah
love.
Jones, Ivo, Anthony and Guy Pinzone, all the boys?
Yeah, New South Wales Group 1 is the one that's still going.
Oh, group 1.
Well, Group 1. So I don't know what's going on. I keep saying my internet connection is unstable. I don't know why it's been saying that like all day. So frustrating. Maybe it's the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
It's going to turn back into a logo for temporarily for the time being.
Bear, what are you doing? Yeah. 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 Hi. Wanna come say hi? Come here. Oh, hang on. You guys stretch.
There, darling. Oh. Hello, sugar. Oh, he needs to see my face. Hello.
Look, it's Molly. He's like, where? I don't see her. Do you know what I was doing the other day? Hang on, let's see if I can do it.
Hi. Oh.
Delicious.
Oh my God. I forget how big.
Oh, yes.
I love those cuddles, Mum. I love those cuddles.
He does. Loves the cuddle. Don't ya? You love a snuggle.
Oh, we've got other puppies. Oh, he's a greyhound. Oh,
this is Bear.
Hi, aren't you beautiful? Oh, they're such snuggle pots, aren't they, greyhounds? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Big dogs, they just think that they are literally babies and they should be able to lie on top of you.
Like he'll just come and put his head on you, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I just want to cuddle."
Hi.
He's just resting his head on my arm.
Oh.
It's such a funny thing with greyhounds because you'd think that.
Well, Anna, how's your group going?
Oh, good,
Oh,
good.
sorry.
Yeah. No, they're going really well. They're still debating the question, like where they want to take it in the question, but they've got some really good ideas. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, they're the last ones kicking. I was like, oh, this.
Oh.
one group left, all the other groups have gone. They're still going, which is good.
Yeah. Well, Matt's in his hospital bed. That was funny. So I actually was like, what's this nurse doing on the screen? Because he's in a green shirt with all the like IV equipment and clearly in a hospital. I'm like, oh, hi, nurse. But anyway,
Dedication. Go back and take a photo.
Anyway, but he turned us around and all the nurses and staff were waving at us.
Oh, really?
He's apparently a bit of a celebrity. He's literally got the home office set up in his hospital room.
Oh my God, what a trooper. I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I think it sounds like they're trying to figure out what it all is, to be honest. So he's making the most of his time. Let's just say that.
Good for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I might duck out and go and actually eat some real food, not chocolate.
Chocolate and bananas are good though.
Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, it's a good combination. All right. I will see you all later.
Okay.
Bye, Anna.
Anna, thanks so much for today too. You were awesome. So
my pleasure. Thanks, Molly. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
That was Philippe that came and went.
Yeah, he came and went. He did a wave.
At least they're saying bye.
I know. All right, we've still got Alan and Matt in the thing, so hopefully they come out and say hi. Maybe I should send a.
Hey, Miles, get ready to take a photo of Matt. Take a photo of Matt.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say, come say goodbye before you go. Okay. I just sent them a message saying. One back into a logo.
Back into a logo.
Take me
Hey
back.
guys, I'm going to head off, I think. Let you guys wrap it up.
All right. Thanks so much, Ray.
Well done.
Thank you.
Went really well. Excellent.
Thank you. Yay. Thanks for all your help and moral support.
You're welcome. Go and have a stiff drink.
And a nap.
I know. I don't know if I need a nap
You
or
can come out going, now what? Now what?
What do we
Yeah,
do?
I'm gonna stretch, I think.
All right, guys.
Bye,
See
Ray.
ya.
See you guys. Bye. And then there were two. I'd laugh if we couldn't cut the meeting out at the end and we were just the recording. Thank you for coming to the Roads Australia mid-year workshop part 1. This is just follow the leader. I'll do what you do, you do what I do, we just follow each other.
Oh, am I following you?
I don't know what's happening now.
You should see Mark's face. I don't know what this move is.
I kind of like it.
Mike, this is what we do in the office. You're broke.
We just need some Beyonce in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back. Oh, no, wait. What is it? This?
What's this?
Look what I can do. know, I'm also scared that I'm going to end up freezing and I'm going to be like, or like in some weird, when, if like the guys come back, oh, they're still in there. Alan and Matt are still in group 1 in New South Wales. They're still just hanging out in their group. If I click end meeting, it's 2:35. Should I just end the meeting? Or maybe I'll go say goodbye to them.
I guess so.
All right, maybe I'll just join their group.
Okay.
All right, hang tight. I'm going.
I'll wait here. I think I have anywhere else to be.
Oh, wait here.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. I'm coming back out. Oh, the guys are going to come back in. You're back in the main screen now, Alan, Matt. You're back in the... Yeah, take care. Rest up, please.
Yeah, probably.
Bye.
Do you know what's wrong?
And then there was 2. Just us. Oh, high five, virtual high five.
Yes.
Done. Well done, go team. Yay.
Go team.
Yeah, Al and Matt were actually still talking about like literally about their project work stuff. And I was like, oh, I was like, can you guys wrap it up? I was like, we're leaving.
We're gonna go now. We're gonna go have a night.
I was like, you have his number, just call him. I was like, see you guys.
Did you hear what happened to Matt? Don't know.
I think it sounds like they're still doing testings and maybe they don't really know yet.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Hopefully he's okay. But it seems like he had lots of nurses and stuff around him. So anyway, hopefully he's fine.
Yeah, that's a bit scary.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to end this meeting, Chica, and go stretch my legs. So thank you. And yeah, take a break.
Yeah, it just rained, so I might wait a bit.
Yeah, okay, good idea. Yeah, I think it might be drizzling outside too.
Later.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'll speak to you a bit later anyway.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.